Yeah. Welcome back, everybody, to the show where we shatter the silence on men's mental health. We are unedited, unfiltered, and as always, we are going raw. My name is Joey.
And I'm Eric, and we're your hosts, and welcome to Raw Minds.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
buddy. We are back for
Yeah,
another one.
and keep on going, brother. We're going to keep on going.
Fucking worldwide now,
Yeah,
man.
brother.
Worldwide. Touching down in countries I didn't even know
Loving it.
existed.
Loving it. So,
Yeah, buddy.
um, I'm good,
How you
man.
doing?
Stressful day at work, but, tomorrow's a new day, so it's all good. It was pouring in the morning, but, it's turned out to be actually a beautiful day. Might hit the hot tub after this podcast and enjoy the night. How about you, man?
I was good, man. No complaints, buddy. No complaints. Just plugging away at life and trying to get things off the ground and, just putting in that work, man. More work than I've ever put into my
Yeah,
life, and that's kind of what I wouldn't say teach, but give pointers and help maybe point
yeah,
people in the right direction, to come from where we came from and the life of trauma and depression and anxiety and abuse, blah,
yeah,
and list goes on. And to come out on the other side and for the first time in 42 years, just focus internally and on myself and my own personal growth,
mm-hmm.
and not chasing anybody, not waiting for anybody to come save me, and I just put in the work, man. Just and it'll pay off one day. I'm trying to learn patience with a lot of this, and a lot of us don't have that because we all want this now and we all want to make more money tomorrow. But the when the you'll get it when the universe is ready
Yeah.
to give
I
it to you,
mean,
right?
at the same time, you got to work hard
As
for
long
it
as
too, right?
well, you get it like anything in life, relationships, friendship, it doesn't matter. It's you get what you
Yeah,
put in, right? And the amount of work that I'm doing, man, is just I'm I'm very hard on myself, and I think a lot of people are.
yeah,
Most people are. And there's some days where I look in the mirror and I don't, everyone says, "Oh, I'm doing such a good job, and I can't believe you're doing this." But then some days I look in the mirror and it doesn't feel
yeah,
like I'm doing
yeah,
anything, just because I'm not where I want to be yet, and I get really down or
yeah,
hard on myself. But I'm just starting to learn now to like, okay, what do I got to do today? What do we got to do tomorrow? And focus on that. We all do it, man. We all look too far ahead and stress ourselves out and give ourselves anxiety and just I'm just really starting to learn how to be in the moment like we always preach and be present and just focus on today. What do you got to do today? Get that out of the way. Now enjoy the rest of your day and it's really working, man. It's I'm really noticing a difference, so
that's
I'm
awesome.
grateful for that. And I'm starting to be more at peace. We're all gonna have shit days and things are
Uh,
gonna stress you
Yeah,
out and
man.
piss you off but you just can't hold on to that, man. It's you know m- most of the things that happen, to us in our day-to-day lives, it's just a moment in a day, and then people allow that to affect the entire day or the rest of the week,
Yeah,
or you know what I mean.
yeah, definitely. I mean,
But once you start to become more clear in your head and feeling a lot better, you don't let those things
yeah.
last that long. You kind of feel it for a minute, you get over it and move
Well,
on.
and it's
So
all about that 1 degree, right? That's what we talk about all the time, right? You keep on doing it every day.
100%.
Just change a little thing, 1 degree, man, and you'll be in a different direction at the end of it, right?
Yeah, and most people live in such routine and they're just
Yeah,
comfortable. They're existing. They're not living. We've talked about this a lot in the past, but we always preach, like you said, is doing something out of your routine every day, just that 1 degree, that one little thing that's
yeah,
different,
yeah,
right? And you'd be surprised at what direction your life has now gone 3 months from now by taking that class, and you never know who you're going to meet. And that's how I'm looking at things too. And you're invited, and a lot of people like, I don't feel like going, but man, you could have met somebody if you
Yeah.
did go, or if you did go on that hike or on that walk. You
You
never know,
never know.
man. It's You cross paths with someone, and you're like, man, I'm glad I came here, because if it wasn't for this person, I wouldn't have got that job interview. I wouldn't have done this. You
Yeah.
never know, right?
True.
So it's another thing I'm really working on, and just trying to get out more, and just talk and meet people,
Yeah.
man. Just because you never know, man.
Yeah, man. And then, like, a lot of times too, like, you feel lost because, like, you feel like you're so far in your life and, like, where are you really? You know what I mean? A lot like, I feel like that sometimes. But then I look back at, like, the stuff that I've accomplished, right? And you gotta be thankful, and that's what you gotta, like, look for, you know? A lot of people just, it's all about negativity. Fuck, I can't speak today. Negative shit. There we go. And you know what I mean? You keep on thinking about that stuff, and it's gonna just keep on growing in your head, you know. The more you think negative, and it's worse it's gonna get.
Well, and that's another thing too, is I've learned, and I try to preach a lot of it too, is you hear it a lot until you really practice it.
Mm,
That is
yeah,
gratitude. Like you just said, you look back at a lot of things that you've accomplished, and like I just said, some days I look in the mirror, even with the stuff I've never, like what I'm doing now at this point in my life. I can't believe I've gotten this far. Like, I'm just so grateful and put in the
yeah,
work. But then there is days where I look and I'm like, man, I ain't doing shit. I don't feel like I ain't doing
yeah,
shit. I'm hard on myself. But it's definitely the gratitude, man. When you wake up, because you have a lot more, people have way more than they think they have,
it's true.
compared to the rest of the
Yeah,
world. And I used to be like that, like, oh, I don't have that BMW that I always wanted, and the people are like that. I think, and they just sit on that and whine and complain about their life because they can't get this right now, and they don't have that right now. Like, man, what do you have? Is your kids good?
yeah,
Is there food in your
yeah.
fridge? You got a car that still drives? Like, man, it's not the size of your house, man. It's the love inside of it,
People
right?
are looking for instant gratitude, right? That's what it's about. People want. Like, yeah,
Gratification.
yeah, instant gratitude. That's it. Yeah, instant. Everybody wants it now,
Oh,
now,
for sure.
now, but
Oh, 100%. But
nobody
when you
wants to
start
work
looking
for
at
it.
the things that you but when you start changing your perspective and looking at the things that you do have rather than what you don't have,
Yeah,
man, you start to feel a lot better, believe it or not.
yeah,
Like, you know what? You didn't get that when you thought you would get it. You didn't get the job you were hoping for. One door closes, another door opens.
yeah.
Like, just because you didn't get it today doesn't mean you can't get it at all.
Exactly, man.
And then people just sit there and whine and poor me, and I couldn't get this, and it's their fault. Like, man, just be grateful for the things that you do have, and you'll notice the difference in just how your day-to-day thinking is,
Yeah, it's
right?
100%
And just
true.
like we just said in the beginning, is those small things, and when life stresses you out, you don't hold on to it for very long
No.
because you're already in a better headspace, and you're just like, you know what, man, that sucked. But you know what? Tomorrow's a new day, just like you said. You had a rough day at work. Okay, now tomorrow's a new day. That's not today. That's tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm
You know what I
and
mean?
I'm not gonna let it affect the rest of my day when I come home, man. As soon as I step in the door, you know, I come home and I leave it, outside at the door. I
Yeah,
don't
and
bring
that's
that
another
shit.
thing, is a lot of people don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
But I think that stems from a lot more than just their job.
yeah,
Because if you're that miserable every day you come home from work, and you're bringing it home from work, like, there's a lot more to it than just your job.
yeah,
Because a lot of people do it, but if you hated your job that much, why are you doing it? If you're
yeah.
that miserable, why are you putting yourself through that?
Mm-hmm.
And if you do hate your job, you waste 67% of your life. You know that?
Yeah.
By going to a job that you hate, because you're not feeling fulfilled. You're not happy. You're not
It's
content.
true,
You're
man.
you're miserable every day.
Yeah.
So and Bill, I got to pay the bills, and this job pays good, so I don't want to leave. But man, this up here is more important than uh, any money, any car, any house, anything. Is your mental state. That is number one.
Yep.
Because I know people that made good money that hated their jobs and they made a little bit less and now they do something they love.
Yep.
And they are so much happier making a little bit less money because they come home and they don't bring it home with them. They're able to be present when they come home
Yeah. Yeah.
and not pissed off and fighting with your wife and your husband every day and yelling at your kids when you know you shouldn't have because you're just upset and just you know what I mean, stressed out
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. Taking your shit out on everybody else, like one of our shorts that we've touched on. But I do want to say, man, toxic choices. Fuck, do we ever make them all the time? Some are big toxic choices, some are bad. Uh,
Toxic choices and toxic influences.
yeah, man.
Well, your choices come because of the influences most of the time, right?
Yeah, yeah, usually. Or
I
so,
mean,
or sometimes you're just brainless. I mean, I've been many times brainless, definitely. So, made my
yeah,
it's
like we're human beings, man. We all make mistakes. There, there's a big difference between mistakes and just being stupid.
yeah.
Like like one of the first things you learn growing up is right and wrong. You know, s- and some people are just stupid,
Yeah.
just plain and simple, just stupid. And the choices that they make continuously, always getting in trouble, always getting arrested, never learning their lesson. But I think that also stems too from a lot of their childhood
Yeah.
or their upbringing for sure, million percent.
Or the drive that you know, the drive like I mean that's what took it for me to get out of my toxic choices, you know? You got to find that drive or you need something dramatic or traumatic to happen to you. Usually, people don't just, I'm going to change now. Doesn't happen like that.
It's always something. It's always a rock bottom where people
Yeah.
decide to, you know what, I'm going to change. It's someone who weighs 500 pounds and then almost dies with
Mhm.
diabetes. And
Yeah.
now all of a sudden, like if you don't lose your weight and a doctor has to tell you that, even though everyone's been telling you that, now it's okay. And then that's when people will make the change or
Yeah.
people that smoke. Everyone on the planet knows it's bad. There's labels on every freaking pack. But until something really happens or their loved one beside them, dies of lung cancer or they get something, now it's like, fuck, I'm going to stop smoking now.
Yep.
So it's always something big before people really make that change, even though they know what they're doing is not good or is wrong.
Yeah.
You got guys that are doing B&Es and robbing houses. Well, if they rob 50 houses and never get caught, they're going to rob another one until
Yeah.
they get caught. And now they're sitting in jail for 10 years and like, maybe I should change my life around.
I had a guy I grew up with, man, and he went to go kick in a door and he got killed. They shot him through the door, you know? He, he's done it a lot of times and then one time he goes to do it and they shoot him and the bullet hits him and he dies for a stupid mistake. Or just stupid, you know? A lot of these times, like we make these mistakes or
Poor
uh,
choices.
poor choices. Yeah, it costs our lives. My fiance cost her life. You know, lots of my friends cost their lives. It's just the poor choices that follow with that, and it sucks. You know,
And
and then I don't mean to get deep, but I mean it's what it is, man. My
well, and a lot.
microphone is all messed up here. There we go. Now it sounds better. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but you know what's really sad too is that these people And even myself when I was younger, with the poor choices that we make and people make, is extremely selfish as well, because on some of these poor choices, look at who it's affecting.
Yeah,
Look
man,
at the people
definitely.
around you that love you,
Yep,
that have to watch you continuously go in and out of jail, that continuously have to watch you do drugs, who
yep,
continuously watch you drink yourself to death.
yep,
All these poor choices that, you know, people make is huge butterfly effect on the effects it has on everyone around them.
mhm,
But they don't think like that because they're just it's all about them.
yep.
All they care about is themselves, nobody else. It's sad to say, and some of them don't even give a shit about their own children.
Well, let me ask you this, man. Give us a poor choice that you've made that, I think affected your mental health and, um, kinda fucked you up.
Poor choice? Like,
Mm,
I don't
or
know.
one of them. Give us an example of, like, what you've been through. Maybe someone can relate out there.
Poor choices. Jeez, I made a lot of them, and I think most of us have. But
What
I
about the
mean,
stripper place that you were saying there?
oh, yeah, I used to DJ in the nightclubs and the strip bars, and you know, I was going to university at the time, and and I moved to a town. I didn't know a single person. I met a person in the dorms that I was staying in the university, and actually, we're still friends to this day. And obviously, you go out in the night in the town. Not been anywhere. Of course, you go. You're this is 20 plus years ago. You're going to the strip bar. You're young. Early 20s, and I meet the DJ who then ends up showing me some things and lets me talk on the mic, and it just kind of rolled from there.
Mhm,
And while I'm trying to go to school, I'm now DJing in a strip bar, having the time of my life while still trying to get my education on what I paid for to go to school for. And I still went, but I was probably hung over 5 days a week going to school because you get caught up in that lifestyle, right? And now
yeah,
the strippers are, doing cocaine, and your buddies are selling drugs, and now you're selling drugs behind the DJ booth, and that lifestyle really catches up to you, right? And takes a toll on you.
yeah,
And yeah, it was definitely like what would you say, like a door opening to, like it is for a lot of people that choose to go down that path. And you
mhm,
not only make one poor choice, well, one poor choice turns into 100 poor choices, right? And then,
yeah,
like we're talking about this whole episode tonight on toxic influences, and then you start hanging out with the people that party all the time, and you hang out with the people that are fighting all the time or getting arrested all the time, and you are who you hang out with. It's a fact.
yeah, yeah, it's true.
You are who you are. Your five closest friends is who you are. People might argue that and be like, "Well, my friend does coke and I don't do coke." I'm like, "That's that's that doesn't matter. Like that's one thing.
Or not yet,
Not yet,
you know?
or
Yeah,
you're still the same personality. You're still the same people, right?" And it goes just
yeah,
like we always talk about in relationships, is you attract who you are, not what you want. Now that
yeah,
goes to the same for the crowd of people you hang with and roll with. You attracted them, right? You brought them your energy, you brought them in, you attracted them, now you're like them. Now you guys are all together all the time, whoever it is you're hanging out with, that's who you attracted. If they're toxic,
yeah,
dramatic, you know, always partying, all that, that's because you're toxic and dramatic and you have a lot of shit that you haven't dealt with. You're
mhm,
not loving yourself. It's just like a relationship. You ignore the red flags because you haven't healed any of your shit, and you let a lot of red flags go. And then when you look at these groups of friends and these influences that you have, you're ignoring the fact that they're doing this and they shouldn't be doing that. But now you just keep rolling with these people, and now you're caught up in it, and it's real hard to get out of,
Yeah,
right? Because you
definitely.
become them, and when
Yeah.
even to you look around right now, who your closest friends are, like that's who you are. But that goes for healing yourself and fixing all the shit that you've had to deal with growing up, whatever it may be, like the abuse that I suffered, whatever it is fixing all that so that you do attract the positive influences, the people that uplift you, the people that ride for you in a positive way and got your back in a positive way. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And is supportive, and you can call when you're feeling like shit and you need to talk to somebody, right? But when you hang out with the groups like that and the parties, like how many times have you talked to people who decided they're not going to drink anymore? And once they stop drinking, nobody hangs out with them anymore because the friends that they had was their drinking buddies. The only people they only hung out with them because they drank or they partied. And then once that
Yeah.
person, changes their life around and tries to make better decisions, now they're not calling them anymore because they're not drinking. It's the same thing,
Yeah.
right? Doesn't mean you can't drink.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing wrong with having a beer here and there. Of course, whatever. But in that group of always drinking every weekend, you're just going out and partying all the time, and then you decide you want to change, and now they don't want to hang out with you. Well, that that's that's what you want, and it's a lonely road
Yeah.
sometimes because you actually don't you realize that you're growing up when you start losing friends,
Yeah, you gotta become your own best friend, man.
and it's a lonely path. But in that lonely
Yeah.
path is where you will truly find yourself. I sat here
Yeah.
for months by myself after you know being so down that I almost took my own life, realizing that I didn't want to feel like that anymore. So I had to r- be in that alone. I had to, without distractions. And most people can't do that or won't do that because it's very easy for them to get a call like, "Oh, we're going out Friday." Like, "Okay, I'm in." Right? Instead of saying, "You know what, man, I really trying to get my business off the ground. I got to stay in, or I got to stay in. I got to read this because I'm studying for this class. I got to get up at 5 in the morning." But most people won't do that because they're just too distracted by the influences that they have in their life that they end up living for other people rather than themselves, and that's why most people
Well
live in this constant state of depression because they're only living for other people, and even though sometimes they don't really wanna do it, they do it anyways because 'cause it'll make their friends happy, and then if they don't, then they got nobody to hang out with.
but hold on. So how did you balance that when you're in the bar scene there? Because obviously, you're in a strip club, it's a fun environment, there's booze, there's
Do you know
drugs,
what my
you know?
turning
How
point was? I'll give you that,
Yeah.
is when I DJ'd back then, the owner would let the staff take beers and drinks, whatever you wanted, as a tab, and it would just come off your paycheck in 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And I got a paycheck one time, and this was the eye opener for me where I'm like, "Whoa, I gotta move away. I gotta get out of this." And my 2-week paycheck was $4.
That's a
And
big fucking
my
you could buy
my
a pack
friend
of gum.
still bugs me about this till this day. My 2-week check was $4 because
I gotta ask, man, did you cash it?
I actually framed it just to remind myself that never
Fucking
go there
right.
again like that. And
Fucking
that
right.
day when I got that, I'm like, "Dude, like, you gotta slow down here. Like, and every weekend you're hanging out with these people and they're doing the same shit." I know, I get it. We're young, right? You're early 20s,
Yeah.
and but once you get a 2-week paycheck for $4 because the entire check went to paying back all the beers that you drink and gave away, it's a real eye opener, man. It's a real eye opener.
Y you probably gave away more than you
Oh, well, you
drank.
got strippers, and the
You
strippers
know what I
the
mean?
strippers are
Yeah.
on a circuit, right? So they come every week, it's a
Yeah,
new
yeah.
round, and every
Yeah.
week, "Where's the party at?" Then they're asking you because they're not from that town or they're from out of town, right? So, of course, every week it's a new 5
Mm,
faces or 4 faces, and they're all asking the same
yeah.
questions. I'm like, "That's okay. Let's go to party at my house on a Tuesday."
In
Tuesday,
my house.
because they're
Yeah.
dancers and they work
Yeah.
at night and they don't work in the morning, right? Now you're missing school. Now you're
Yeah.
missing work. Now you're you know what I mean? Just being an idiot because you're caught up in it.
Yep. Yeah, man. I mean, and it's fun. Don't get me wrong, man. It's
I'm
fun,
not gonna lie,
right?
it was probably one of the
Yeah.
best times of my life, but at the same
There you
time, I
go,
was
man.
just
And
like,
it's fun.
man, like, I look back at some of those nights and I'm like, "What a fucking loser." You're such a loser. But that's a part of growing up
Yeah.
too, right? Is you
Yeah.
but I will if I could give any advice to any of the people listening that isn't coming up in their early 20s, man, like, everyone's like, "Oh, you gotta party in your early 20s and you gotta do that." Like, try not to, man. Like, you
Yeah,
gotta
stack that
fail and
money,
you gotta
man.
learn lessons and hard lessons, and it's a part of it, but if I could say anything that I don't regret, because I try not to have any regrets in my life, but is focus and work in your early 20s the best that you can to set yourself up to for your future and to the age that I'm at now, because playing catch up for 20 years of being a fucking idiot. Straight up.
Yeah. I feel you.
Straight up.
I
Like,
feel you.
it took me a long time to
Yeah.
grow up, a long time. And you know what? Every day is about growing, every day. But
Yeah.
I spent years of just being stupid, whether making dumb financial purchases or hanging out with idiots or all these things, but at the same time, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today, and I wouldn't be sitting here with you tonight if it wasn't for a lot of this shit, right? Like, you want street
Yeah.
smarts and
Sponsor.
life experience. I'm not just saying it, but I probably have more than most 60-year-old people that you've met because of the amount of shit that I've had to live and deal with and choices that I made. I'm not perfect, man. Like, I've been dealt traumatic hands as a child to even up till, a year or two ago, on things that I've had to deal with, but I've also made a lot of poor choices and created my own downfall and created my own depression and created my own heartbreaks. But the biggest thing is, if any of you that make poor choices, is learn from it, move on, and just try to be better the next day. That's all you can do. Because
Yeah,
what you've
man.
done in the
Well,
past
let
is you know that's not you today. That was in the past.
no, doesn't device your
No, it
future,
doesn't.
man.
You don't let those moments in your
No.
past affect the movement in your future, right? So,
Mm, no. But let's face it, we're fucking human. We make mistakes, you know? We do. And it's okay to make those mistakes cuz like how else are you going to learn, you know? Someone has to. I mean, who was can you imagine the mistake the guy was making when he was trying to get milk? Like, whoops, that was a bull, wasn't a cow. You know what I mean? Like we need to make mistakes in order to learn. It's just a matter is you holding that information in your head, and using that as you go forward. Like, okay, no, I went right last time. Now I'm gonna go left because right was a bad idea.
you have
It's what it's
you
about,
have to
man.
fail.
It's
You
about
have to
growing.
make mistakes. Otherwise, you won't grow ever.
Yeah,
That is
exactly, man. Imagine when you're walking, the first time you're walking as a toddler. How many times did you fall on your ass before you started walking? Every time you fell on your ass was a failure because you didn't walk. Well, not a failure, but like, what I mean? Like you failed, but learned the lesson, got up and walked again.
yeah.
But you know what I mean, right? Every time you fell. Did you get up? No, because you're obviously walking right now. It's the same with riding a bike. I mean, not everybody can ride a bike because people just haven't, but I mean, it's the same thing. You just gotta put that in life with everything else that rolls around with you, you know? Put that think of it in that,
Yeah,
like,
you
scenario.
cannot grow without failure, period.
Yeah,
Like, the
100%,
things
man.
that I learned from heartbreak, from losing and not getting jobs, and doors closing in my face, and losing friends, man, like, I I just learned so much. Now when these things happen to you and things don't go right or doesn't go your way, like, you have to take that and actually look at it and be like, "Okay, how do I fix that? How do I not do that again? How do I move forward from that?" And
Yeah.
most a lot of people, I would say, just keep walking that revolving door because they never learn their lesson, and that's the same people that play the victim all the time, right? As they're not healing themselves, they're not working on themselves, so when they're going through this revolving door, blaming the world for their problems, they're not growing, they're not learning, they're not moving forward. They just keep going around in circles
Yeah.
because it's easier for them to point fingers and not actually look at themselves in the mirror and be like, "Man, I need to change. I need to fix this. I need to
Yeah.
fix me." But most people won't do that. It's too
Yeah.
hard. But damn right it is.
But it's easier to tell everybody else, you know? Everybody can fix everybody else's fucking problems, but it's hard to fix their
Everyone's
own.
great at giving advice, but not good at following their own advice. And I
Yeah.
was guilty of that for a long time too.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I still do it sometimes, it's hard. You know, I know Angel, 100%. Then I realize, "Hey, wait a minute. Smarten the fuck up." But it sometimes takes you a little bit, right?
Yeah, sometimes yeah, like it took
And
me
that's okay.
40 years, literally 2 years ago, for me to hit like we were saying earlier about hitting a rock bottom. You know, I
Mhm.
for the most part messed up a relationship, but not in a like a toxic or a bad way. It was just me shutting down and pushing away without realizing I was, and et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, causing my own heartbreak and causing
Yeah.
all these other things because I never looked at myself in the mirror and reached out to take accountability and openly admit not only to myself but to somebody else that I have a lot of issues that I never dealt with. And my rock bottom then
Yeah.
was my eye opener when I finally looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, I refuse to feel like this ever again. And I did
Mhm.
everything I could going forward to do as much internal work on myself, not just physical, but mostly internal and mental, because I knew I needed
Yeah.
to change and I was tired of constantly hurting myself, indirectly hurting other people, and living 20, 30 years with depression and anxiety and stress and just being on autopilot, right? I was there, but I was never there.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So, and
Yeah.
again, that goes with
Just
a
made
lot of
poor
people is they don't
choices.
really change, even though that, and some people know they got to change. Some people know what they do. Some people know, like I know a girl, for example, openly admits
I
she's like, yeah, every time they get close, and then I just push away and then I run
oh my
away and then I
gosh.
break their hearts. I'm just like, because she knows what she does. But yet I'm like, well, what are you doing to fix that? Like,
Yeah.
for one, that's not fair to the people that you date. Like, you shouldn't be dating anybody if you openly know that because you're just hurting people, you know? So there was a lot of damage that
Yeah,
she had
man.
to fix
Yeah,
or
it's
didn't
true.
fix or whatever. But that's with a lot of people is they got a lot of shit that they know that affects them. They know why they are the way they are. There's a lot of people that have anger issues and like, why are you like this? I don't know. Yeah, they do know. Everybody or admit
Yeah,
it.
they're just scared to fix it,
Everybody
man.
knows how they feel.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit. If they can't admit
Yeah.
like why does he act like this all the time? Why do you act like this all the time? I don't know why. I don't know why. Like, yeah, you do. You know exactly why, but there's something deeper that you don't wanna
Yeah,
talk to or talk about or deal with. And then
yeah,
you hold on to this like a lot of people
yeah,
do, and this anger and this aggression or the sadness, and they don't wanna feel like that, but yet they won't look themselves in the mirror and they won't admit or talk to somebody about it because they're either embarrassed, and that's where, especially with
yeah,
men, is we gotta suck it up and we're not gonna talk about it, and we just add more bricks rather than release them. And then that's where,
yeah,
especially the men's starts to fall apart. And, that's why the suicide rate's 4 times
yeah.
higher and so on, is because especially as men, as we struggle to be vulnerable, talk about our shit, you know? We got an image, we gotta be the protector, we don't want our wife to think we're weak or our girlfriends, we don't want our families to think that think that we're less of a man. Because I felt like that for a long time, man.
No, I mean, that's how we were raised, as men. Smarten up. Oh, you're depressed, get over it, but oh, don't be a bitch. But it's not, man. Um, it's the toxic influences back in the day, really, is, it's what we're known for. But I mean, it's about breaking that chain. That's what we talk about all the time. I mean, and speaking of like toxic influences, I mean, we make the wrong choices, and like we were saying, like we put people in danger, we put ourselves in danger. Animals. I mean, for fuck's sakes, man, I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time. I was early 20s, and I was at this party, and I mean, I shouldn't have brought her. I mean, there's the people that I had, like, that I was hanging out with her, were not good people. Um, I don't even think. I think maybe four of them are still alive out of like the handful of people there. But anyways, so we're at this party, and my good buddy, uh, he's all drunk, all messed up. Me and him we worked together. And he goes over to my girl at the time, and he goes, "I'm gonna make you like Eric's aunt." And she's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "My aunt just passed away, right?" So it's like pretty much telling him he's gonna kill her. And then she comes up to me and my best friend there, Chad, and she's crying. She says all this. Well, anyways, me and Chad end up tuning him out, and he had the keys to my car, so we ended up taking a taxi to my house, my mom's house. Actually, I was living at my mom's house. I was a kid still at the time, early 20s, and not even a half an hour, 40 minutes. We've been at my house. I'm sitting in the bathroom. I mean, I'm going to the bathroom, and my buddy Chad's like, "Yo, uh, buddy just drove by." I'm not gonna say names, but he's like, "Buddy just drove by." And I look out the window and I see the ass end of my car drive down the alley, and it had a blow off valve in it. So I hear, I was like, "The fuck?" Turns around at the end of the alley, comes back down the alley. I'm looking out the window. It's like one of those small little
Yep.
bathroom windows, you can fold over. The, the motherfucker hops out of the car, and he's like, "Fuck you, Eric." And he goes bang, 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 shoots through my walls. Um, my ex-girlfriend was sitting at the computer. One of the bullets went through the wall, over top of Chad's girlfriend at the time, that was laying on the bed, went over top of her, and the bullet hit the computer screen. And she was sitting at the computer. And me bringing her out, me involving into this life that I used to be involved in, almost cost her life. And she's innocent to everything. You know, that was probably one of the biggest toxic life choice I could have did, definitely,
I'm bringing her into
because
it.
it almost cost her life,
You know,
and that's what I mean, yeah.
but
Yeah.
again, too, is man, as people
Hanging
make
out.
their own choices, like these females that roll like that, like they know they're not dumb. You know, I had a friend
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
back in the
definitely.
day, sweetest girl, sweetest girl, and she used to date one of my friends, long time ago, and I was with her the night before at a pub with some friends, like just overall the nicest girl, and she dated, you know,
Mm,
she wasn't dating right. Let's put it that way, but it's one of those girls you're like,
yeah,
"Man, like, this girl is so sweet," and but that was her choice of men, and the next day, she ended up
yeah,
taking a car that, uh, I guess his friend was supposed to be driving, and she was driving it instead, and she was pulled over on her phone, just parked, and bullets came through the back window and killed her, shot her in the back of the head, and she was just an innocent, and it was supposed to be somebody else. Right? It was a big thing back then, you know, and it was truly sad because she was just the
yeah,
sweetest girl, man. I think she was like 20 years old.
yeah, man.
So this shit, you know, and we see it all the time, man.
Yeah.
This shit happens, right?
All the time, man. My buddy, we were God, I was like 17 years old. And at the pool hall, I wasn't there, but my buddy was at the pool hall by our old school, well, his old school, and he was dating this girl, and the guys or the chick's boyfriend shows up with a bunch of guys and killed my buddy, beat him to death, stabbed him and hit him with bats and stuff over a girl. She dumped the guy, man. You know, for that guy that took my buddy's life. I mean, that choice right there, taking someone's life, and especially over a woman. There's fucking 3 billion in this world. You know what I mean? And my friend had to lose his life. He was a kid. He didn't even finish high school because he died over
Well,
a
and
woman
it's
because this guy
crazy
had to
how
make that choice. Made that choice.
one choice in literally a matter of a minute or two will destroy and ruin the rest of your life. You know, and I actually have a prime example of that is
Definitely, man.
I just got the call the other day. One of my best friends growing up for almost 30 years lives in Victoria. I my first love in high school was his sister. So we were always close family. I called him my brother. Like we weren't even friends. Like I'm his son's godfather. And he's the same age as or a year older than my son. So he's like 15 now. And the day his son was born is the day I got the call that I
Yeah,
was going to be a dad. So it was kind of cool just because of who we were. Anyways,
yeah,
long story short, I think about 2 years ago, like he really struggled with his own self confidence. He's a small guy. He's like 5'4", just a small guy. Probably the most educated guy. Like he taught, like you know what Braille is to teach people, blind people. He can teach people like people that, and there's
yeah,
like one
yeah,
in
yeah,
six people
yeah,
in Canada that can do that.
yeah.
Like he's very smart, educated, ran doctors' offices, methadone clinics, like just a, you know what I mean? His wife, super smart. They're both very educated, super
Mm.
smart people. Anyways, this guy wouldn't harm a fly. We were brothers. And I guess last month, my buddy, we have a mutual friend. He actually the first guy I met 20 years ago going to the strip bar. Same guy. Anyways, he goes to my buddy's house last month for his birthday. And we had a falling out the last 2 years because of his mental state and just the way he is. His wife cheated on him, and then he was like one of those guys that'd be embarrassed
Yeah,
to bring any of his friends around because we would know to tell him to leave her, but he stayed with her, so he just shut us out basically because of that. So I stopped talking to
yeah,
him for
yeah,
2 years.
yeah.
But my buddy went over there, and this is a prime example of throwing your entire life away in 1 minute. My buddy went over there for his birthday last month. and they're all having drinks for my buddy's birthday. There's a couple people over. Fast forward to the end of the night, it's my buddy and his wife. So there's 3 of them, and my buddy that his birthday was going to bed. He was way too drunk, and he my other friend was sitting with his wife, and they're all really close. We're all really close, so it's nothing like that. And they're having a cigarette on the patio, and she starts crying because they've been having a lot of problems in their marriage. They're drinking, he's drinking all the time, etc. So I guess my other buddy gave his wife a hug, like don't cry, like they're good friends. Like it's okay because she got in a drunken state and emotional, like a lot of people do. And as he was giving her a hug, my buddy came back out from the bedroom and fucking snapped. And he'd never heard anybody and calling her a fucking whore, and then started swinging at my buddy. My buddy's trying to hold him, and he got free from my buddy and just reached back and knocked his wife out cold in the out. Yeah, out cold, out cold in the kitchen. And if you
His
met
own
him
wife?
growing up, dude, you're just like, I was
Oh my
shocked. I'm still
god.
in shock. And he's been really having like mental issues and struggles in his life, like real heavy depression. And I guess whatever happened in their own marriage, he just
Mhm.
fucking snapped as one of those people that you never thought and was pushed over the edge. And the between the alcohol and that, knocked his wife out cold, started swinging at my buddy. And he also works with kids. Let's keep that in mind. Like his whole career is kids as well. Like he's big into rehab for kids and all this kind of shit. Like just very educated. And I guess he got away from
Mhm.
my buddy, went into his bedroom, came back with a hammer, and tried to cave my buddy's head in with the hammer. And then my buddy ran down the stairs outside, and this is 3 o'clock in the morning, mind you. And his son wakes up, and then he goes outside chasing my other buddy with the hammer and smashes out all the windows in his car, my buddy's car. So not only
His
did
own
he
car
knock
or
out
your
his
buddy's
wife
car?
and basically
Oh
attempted
my
murder
god.
with a hammer and then vandalism, etc. Uh, in that 5 minutes, he threw away his career, his marriage, probably his relationship with his son, because his son woke up, had to call the police on his own dad. And then my friend had to take his son down the street to a neighbor's house to let them in, to his son in to get away from that. And 5 minutes, he threw his entire life away. And he's 43, so his years of education, can't work with kids. He's looking at serious charges. Serious, serious. But this is a little 5'4" guy that just,
Oh,
you
definitely.
know what I mean? And just fucking that, yeah, and that shows
Did he just black out? Is that
what
what it was? He
really
just blacked out?
happens. Like, there's no justifying. Like, there's no. I feel bad for his wife and his kid 100%, but that shows
Yeah.
the buildup and the bricks that we add every day rather than trying to take those bricks out. And he carried that backpack that was way too heavy for him for way too long, and he broke and through his entire life
Yeah.
because he never
Finally broke.
went to fix his core
Yeah.
problems, his core issues. And he let it build up and build up. His marriage was getting worse and worse, and whatever else he had going on, and he was drinking all the time, and he just self-medicated, temporary band-aids, and then he did something that nobody that knew him would ever thought ever that he would do, but he got to a point and he snapped. He had enough and he couldn't deal with it anymore, and look how he took it. Look what happened.
Yeah.
He fucked it. His life's over, so that's a
Yeah, no doubt.
real
That's fuck yeah.
indication of what happens to a lot of men. I'm not, like I said, there's what he did was disgusting, and but that is a true indication of what happens to a lot of men and, well, both, but for people is
Was
not seeking the help and dealing with the things that happen to you when they happen to you, or and if it's something from your past and your childhood, then you need to get on that now. You need to deal with it, and it's hard, extremely hard to look at yourself in the mirror. It's extremely hard to openly admit to a counselor or to a family friend that this happened to you as a child or this is what's going on, but you have to. And prime example with my buddy, he didn't at all, and he let it build up to the point where he was just depressed, constant, constantly depressed, drinking all the time, and then just unloaded and fucked his entire life up, just like that. So if you're listening, man, and you got struggles and you know your anger issues, whatever it is, man, you got to face it and deal with it because what could happen if you don't, it changes you. It makes you somebody that you never thought you would be, like my buddy. It turns you either evil, it turns you into, you know, the suicidal tendencies and thoughts or attempts. It turns you into, you know, someone who's social all the time and now is a hermit and talks to nobody. It's a killer, man. So whatever it is that you're struggling with, man, you got to face it. You got to deal with it because it's gonna if you it might be hard to deal with now, but just think of how much harder it's gonna be on you when your wife leaves you and your kids don't want to talk to you and you lose your job. You know, and then you have no money because you have no job. That's even harder than looking at yourself in the
You
mirror and be
fuck it
like, you
all
know
up.
what, man, I got
That's it,
fucking
man.
problems. I need to deal with this right now. And so, you know, and if you have a supportive
Man.
spouse or supportive family, let them help you because they care about you. You know, we've all done it, man. I've had my dad and my some friends in the past, and people trying to help me, and no, I don't need help. I don't need help. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Dude, that's the biggest lie you could ever tell is that you're fine. You're not fine, and they see it and they feel it. Your kids feel it. So you know, it's hard now to admit and to fix, but I promise you, it will save you way more in the future of heartaches and you know collateral damage to the people around you that do love you. So you got to reach out, man. You have to. You got to deal with these things head
Yeah,
on,
man.
turn around, face those demons. That's the only way you're going to get over it and get through it.
Well, I think on that note, man, we should close it with that.
Yeah. For all you guys listening out there, and as always, we really appreciate you guys tuning in every week. If you're new to the show, obviously we are a podcast on men's mental health. Um, if you're really struggling and you have no one to talk to, you feel alone, man, reach out to us, please. You know, that's what we're here. That's why we're doing this. We're just trying to, you know, we've been there. We know the depth of depression and anxiety, and it, it it's a real hard place to be. But just know that it is temporary, even when it doesn't feel like that. So when you are if you are feeling like that and you got no one to talk to, man, you don't have to tell us your real name. Just reach out, leave your number, message us, and we will answer every message, every phone call, whatever it is that we need to do to help you get out of that. You know, we're just here to you know offer guidance and just trying to be there for people that lived a life or has been through or going through with the things that we've had to go through. It's not talked about enough. It's not dealt with enough. And that's why we sit here every week to just try to help. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid, man. Anybody listening, reach out. Rawmindspodcast at gmail.com or hit us up on the TikToks, the Facebooks. You just we're everywhere. You know, whatever platform you're listening to us on right now, we're on every other platform. So just Google us.
Just Google us.
And and check out my
Simple as
fitness
that.
clothing line, ironmenace.com. I got the hottest new design and swag. Uh yeah, I'm dropping out new women's gear next week. So tune in for that. Check that out. Appreciate you. And yeah, as coming from me tonight, we again appreciate every one of you. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next week. And if you can't find good people, be good people.
Um, I just have to
That
say, if you're gonna play stupid games, you're gonna win stupid prizes. So just be conscious. Be conscious of what you're gonna do in life and if that's the right decision. That little fucking noise in your head, the little voice, listen to it. I mean, for a good portion of my life, I didn't, and did a lot of bad choices. So, like I said, man, play with fire, you're gonna get burnt. So just be smart. Yeah. So, anyways, I guess we'll see you next week. Be good. Be good or be good at it. Bye.